They aren't illegal. They're gastronomic tools that Jack argued, already frantically stashing them under his bed. The next 3 hours were a blur of frantic cleaning. Jonna was scrubbing the kitchen counters with a fervor usually reserved for operating rooms. Chrissy was hiding stacks of magazines that Stanley might deem radical, and Jack was currently trying to vacuum the ceiling. "Why are you vacuuming the ceiling?" Jonna yelled. "Spiders. Stanley hates spiders. He says they're squatters." Jack yelled back. When noon arrived, Stanley marched in, followed by a very bored-looking Helen, who was carrying a clipboard for dramatic effect. Stanley began to poke at the walls with a screwdriver. Dust on the baseboards, Stanley noted, his eyes narrowing. That's how the termites get in. They see the dust and think it's an invitation. "Stanley, termites eat wood, not dust," Helen sighed, ticking a box on the clipboard. The inspection moved to the kitchen. Stanley sniffed the air suspiciously. "Smells like pimentos. I told you, no ethnic cooking that stains the grout. It's a Wood family recipe, Mr. Roper," Jonna said through gritted teeth. "It's as American as apple pie." The climax came when Stanley insisted on checking the plumbing in Jack's room. He knelt by the sink, turned the faucet, and a geyser of rusty water shot straight into his face. I'm blinded by the negligence," Stanley screamed, flailing his arms. Jack rushed forward with a towel. "It's a pressure release system. I was just about to tell you." In the end, Stanley left with a damp shirt and a promise to review the lease. But Helen stayed behind for a second. She winked at Jack. "Don't worry," she whispered. "The clipboard is actually a grocery list. He can't tell the difference between a termite check and a request for more liverwurst." Chapter 16, Midnight at the Pier. The marine layer had rolled in early, turning the Santa Monica Pier into a ghost ship of neon and fog. The sounds of the arcade were muffled, and the ocean was a vast, dark heartbeat against the wooden pilings. Jack, Jonna, and Chrissy found themselves walking the length of the pier after a particularly long week of the plate lies and furniture failures. They stopped at the very end, where the wood felt old and the wind was sharp. "Do you think we'll still be doing this in 10 years?" Chrissy asked, her voice small against the crashing waves. "Doing what?" Jonna asked. "Fixing couches and hiding puppies." "Everything," Chrissy said, being us. Jack leaned his elbows on the railing, staring into the dark water. The deception he lived in every day, the role he played for Roper, felt heavy in the silence of the night. But then he looked at his roommates. He saw Jeanette's quiet strength and Chrissy's unwavering optimism. "I don't know where we'll be," Jack said softly. "But I think as long as we're under the same roof, we'll be okay, even if that roof has a landlord who peeps through the vents." "To the future," Jana said, lifting an imaginary glass. "To the trio," Chrissy added. "And to the best company a man could ever ask for," Jack finished. They stood there for a long time, three figures in the fog, while the lights of the Ferris wheel spun slowly behind them. The 70s were half over, the world was changing, and the Santa Monica Pier was just a collection of old wood and new dreams. But in that moment, apartment 201 wasn't just a place to live. It was a home. Chapter 17, Reflections in the Sunset. As the sun began its slow descent into the Pacific, painting the Santa Monica sky in hues of bruised purple and gold, the three of them sat on the small balcony of apartment 201. The fog was rolling in, cool and salty, a welcome respite from the afternoon heat. The couch was still a bit lopsided. The wallpaper project was still in the planning stages, and Jack was still a plumber's model in training. But as the lights of the pier began to twinkle in the distance, the chaos felt manageable. "You know," Jana said, leaning her head on the railing, "despite the poets and the tax and the missing rent money, we're doing okay. We're doing great," Chrissy added, her eyes reflecting the sunset. "We have a roof over our heads and a dog downstairs that loves us. And a penguin. Well, for a little while. And a landlord who thinks I'm a war hero with a metal plate," Jack reminded them, lifting his mug of beer in a toast. "To the girls of 201. And the guy," Jana added. "Especially the guy," Chrissy giggled. The sounds of the city began to fade, replaced by the rhythmic hush of the waves. In the heart of Santa Monica, in a building with peeling paint and a landlord who peeped, three people had found something rare. They had found home. And as long as they had each other and a few white lies to keep the peace, they were company enough. Chapter 18, The Mysterious Phone Call. The following Monday, the tranquility of apartment 201 was shattered by the shrill ringing of the rotary phone. It was a sound